your impression of Xi's speech today?
Well, I think it's a very positive message, especially lots of people are asking about the future of Hong Kong, given that we are now like 25th anniversary. So I think he gave a very strong message that if the two system is working for Hong Kong, why should it change? And of course, he didn't give a very definitive answer to what happened, say, 25 years later. But the message is strong enough to assure us that it may go beyond 25, right? Because if it's working, because I think a particular adjective he used is long term.
Yeah. He mentioned correctly implement one country, two systems. That was one of the key principles that he laid out for the new chief executive, John Lee. What does that mean, correctly implementing this?
Yeah, I think this is what happened after 2019 social unrest. Mainland China repeatedly reminded us that the two system comes after the one country. So the whole idea is one country, two systems. So we should not just focus on the two system, but we should also be reminded the importance of the one country. So, and in fact, I think most people in Hong Kong do agree with that, right? How do we get two systems in the first place?
Right.
It must be we are under China.
We heard both Xi and Lee stress the importance of tackling the social issues like housing. Obviously, we see in the mainland here a crackdown on property. Could we see something like that? What's a warning to some of these tycoons out there that perhaps there's a seismic shift that could be happening here?
Well, I think Hong Kong still runs under the capital.
Sorry, it's just really getting really wet for you guys. Let's try to keep this going for as long as we can.
No, I think Hong Kong is still under the capitalist model, so we still enjoy a large freedom of running a business in Hong Kong. But I think we should do care about the community as well.
Yeah.
So there's no change of the policy. It's just that we have to be more mindful about the needs of the local people as well. So the wealth being created needs to be trickled down to the common community.
But he mentioned about how the Hong Kong government and the market need to be more balanced. What does that mean? Does that mean less monopolies?
Well, I think there has been a lot of vested interest in all these years, especially in fixing some of these old problems. There's all been vested interest.
Yeah.
And I think, basically not just mainland China, but Hong Kong people also fed up with it. And so we no longer can always just taking our time, basically procrastinating, right? I think what happened in 2019 and others, people are frustrated with the government. So action needs to be in place.
Yeah.
So no longer that we have to take care of so many different interests, but we have to get things done, fix problems.
Okay, we want you to stay dry as much as possible, Bernard. Last question. There's been not short of details from Xi's speech about the quarantine issues, the easing or emerging out of COVID-0. There's a lot of hype out there right now. What can you tell us? What are you seeing in terms of discussions behind closed doors?
Well, I think there's a good sign, especially, it's not about Hong Kong, it's also about the mainland China.
Yeah.
And obviously, we just recently, they have also announced a reduction of the quarantine time in China.
Yeah.
So I see some good sign that we will likely to follow as well. It may not be in one go, but I think over next couple of months, perhaps further relaxation might happen.
So we can actually, you think, break apart from the mainland's COVID strategies?
No, I think all in all, I think we still uphold to that whole principle of that we don't just leave it.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that public health is still our number one concern.
Yeah.
But we also need to look after the interests of the business community, right? So we have to, it's not easy for the incoming administration, need to figure out how best they can continue to deal with the border relaxation with the mainland as well as to the world.
There's a lot that we don't know about John Lee at this point. He doesn't have a track record when it comes to the economy, finance. The business community certainly needs him to prove himself in a way. What do we not know about John Lee? So what do you know that you think that the public doesn't know?
Obviously, John came from a disciplinary services background, so he clearly doesn't have a lot of knowledge in other areas. But the good news is the team that he recruited are very good. So I foresee that the incoming administration will be more like a teamwork, right? It's not going to be just on one person. So I actually see some good sign in that he find the right person, especially in dealing with housing. He recruited quite a number of very good civil servants to help him to address the housing shortage of Hong Kong.